Welcome to Gold Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson here with Nickel Boys stars Ethan Herisse and Brandon Wilson. Ethan, I'm going to start with you. What was your familiarity with the material prior to filming? Because it's based on Colson Whitehead's Pulitzer Prize winning novel, and I hadn't read it, but it's really disturbing subject matter. And I'm curious what your knowledge was prior to filming, if you read it at all.
Prior to filming, I did. I read it during the audition process.
Okay.
I wasn't familiar with the novel, nor was I familiar with the Dozier School for Boys at all. That was all of those things were presented to me in the email that had the self-tape request. And so, yeah, I read the script. I was like, the script is amazing. I did the tape. I sent it off into the void, and then I picked up the book purely off of, just interest in knowing more about the story. I was familiar with the Underground Railroad. I had read that, and so I was familiar with Colson's work. So it wasn't too big of a leap to go ahead and pick up this book.
And Brandon, how about you?
I still haven't read the book. Uh, yeah, after I read the scripts and got to meet Ethan and Ramel, I was kind of just ready to dive in, and I already had, I was already full, and I didn't want to add more like thoughts in this silly brain, so I was ready to go play.
Ethan, when you step into this, it's dark material. How do you relate to Elwood, and how are you able to step into that character and in that time period so effectively?
I was able to see a bit of like a younger version of myself in him in terms of um his view on the world and kind of his naivete. I think those are things that I was really able to relate to when I was around that age, when I was, 15, 16. And so it kind of started there, and then we started to explore like his relationship with his grandmother and all the love that was present in his life, and kind of relating that to my personal life and my family. I'm privileged to say that, I've got a family that I love very much and was raised with a lot of love. So I think those were the two main things that were kind of like the entry point and in relating to him. And then it was just about exploring all the other characteristics that um that I admired about him, his wisdom, his his intense passion for, the world that he was living in, for his political awareness and his bravery. Just all of those things were things that I admired, and just kind of explored deeper to try and emulate.
And Brandon Turner sort of takes Elwood under his wing. He helps him adjust to this
Mm.
awful situation a little bit. What did you want to bring to that character?
I don't know if I explored it in those terms, but I mean to one, just I guess bring that to show up and be present with Ethan, and then to bring that into that world of Turner's life and into Nickel. But I think, I don't know, I guess there was like a something to bring in there that was like this kind of comfortability, like that's like seated in this world of like, I mean, obviously he doesn't run the show because he's very much confined here like everyone else, but I think he has this like presence and like this intelligence about him that he feels like he's kind of made it his own, and he's kind of manipulating it in his own way. So to bring that, and then I guess there's kind of like that confidence that I think he tries to like to show Elwood. It's like, let me I got you. Let me tell you how the world works and like what the real world is. Um,
He's a
yeah,
little more streetwise, kind of.
for sure. Oh yeah, much more. Yeah, street smarts, book smarts vibe. Yeah,
Yeah.
I said vibe, and that was weird. Vibe. It sounded like period.
What was what was it like for you each when you read the script and saw, okay, this is going to be POV, and
Hmm.
it kind of pulls you against all of your natural instincts as an actor. I think they tell you, please don't look at the camera when you're in a normal filming situation, and now here you are staring directly into the camera. What were your thoughts on that, and how did that impact your performances?
Didn't pay attention to it in the early goings. When it came to reading the scripts or the script and like working with the
Mm.
sides, it wasn't something that, was really heavily thought about. Um, at least like on, I don't mean to speak for you, but
Yeah, in the preparation process, it wasn't like heavily thought about. It
yeah.
wasn't really like a thought until we started, and like then you look down the lens and you're like, oh right, this is we know what POV meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and then yeah, that takes some like getting used to be able to like look at the lens and not have that like because people can, or like Ramel would be able to tell sometimes. He's like, I felt you looking at a camera in that moment. And they're like, right, right, right. So that took a little bit of like getting
Yeah.
used to and feeling out, like being able to explore with each other and getting into a certain rhythm so you can then like imbue that life into the lens. But then you kind of just you get to do the thing. You get to do the thing. You get to be present and play and do all the stuff we do the thing for.
So
Well, and I went into it like not, I purposely try to not know as much as I can before I see a film. That's just the way I like to watch. So when I was watching it, I was thinking, okay, like maybe they're doing like voiceovers or something. And then I saw something where you spoke and you're actually like, one of you is like standing next to Jomo, like, right? The cinematographer. So you're like really in there. You are speaking to each other. You're just like huddled in with the cinematographer. So that, what kind of experience was that? Were you like putting your arm in front of the lens at certain times?
Oh yeah. Sometimes yeah, we would like put our arm like under Jomo or like Sam, whoever was camera operating.
yeah.
Or yeah, and then we'd like kind of yeah, you put your arm like under their armpit, so like you become their arm to like kind of keep that what's it called? What's it called?
I don't want to say illusion, but is that
No
what
no
you're
no no
thinking?
no 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 no. It's like when the head and the arms and the legs are all in the right place. Proportion.
Uh,
So like yeah, we kind of like blend our bodies would kind of become one. It was a
yeah,
lovely, lovely little dance.
in the very early stages, like Joe, like I was like, oh yeah, well, we're getting close. Like
Yeah.
there was established that like Joe Mo and I or whoever, like we're gonna physically, yeah, going to be in each other's, spaces and be accepting of that. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Learn
made
each
sure.
other's smells.
Yeah.
And then there's certain scenes and where we do hear the dialogue twice. I mean, it's not through the whole movie. You're not hearing everything from everyone's point of view twice. But for instance, there's a lunch table scene where we do sort of get introduced to those two POVs, and we do hear the same language being discussed twice from each of their point of view. When that happens, do you have to do that in a single take then? Is that just to make sure it for consistency, or are there different variations of that scene?
There are the way because of the way it's shot,
Mm.
it was all oneers for scenes like that. So it was all if it was Turner's perspective and the I'm on camera, we go through that entire scene, we do a few takes of it, and then we switch, and then it's my perspective, Brandon's looking at camera, and then just we run through that whole scene and do it. So there are multiple takes from each perspective. And that's pretty much how we did
Mm.
all of our scenes.
Yeah. And yeah, you can tell like no, I guess that would make sense that it would have to be a different take. What I was gonna say wasn't gonna make sense. Based on that like filming process, since we did all oneers of one person's perspective and then all oneers, yeah, those are two completely separate takes that you're seeing from the other person. So like I was noticing even like the way that we would say lines are different and like you get to hear kind of which creates this lovely different weird worlds because you just heard it, but then you get to hear it said and it's like, oh wait, you get to hear these different nuances and like even the way it's spoken. It's
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm.
What was that like to work with Ramel Ross? This was his directorial debut, so he made quite a statement with this type of uh, directorial, I guess, viewpoints. So what was it like working with him, and how was that interaction? There had to be a lot of trust there.
Oh, for sure. Trust is the word. There was lots of trust and with that lots of ease to exploration
Hmm.
and freedom.
Freedom to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he was Ramel's lovely to work with. There are a lot of things to admire about him as a person and a professional. Um,
Mm.
and as a professional, what we saw on that set was like someone who was fully confident in their vision, and someone who also wasn't afraid to lean into the collaborative process. You know, like there was no um, there wasn't like a you never got the vibe that he was like a like me or
Mhm.
or like that, he was overly controlling about anything. He really trusted not only us, the actors, but he trusted Jomo, he trusted Jocelyn, he trusted the camera operators, the ADs. Like he um that was felt throughout the set, and it just made for a really, really great experience.
And I'll add, I think perhaps the reason why the trust was so easy with Ramel is this idea of person professional. I don't think there's much of a separation, if any, between him as a person, him as a professional.
Mm.
Like there's some people that come to work and they have a work mask and they have this certain energy of like pressure, stress, whatever this thing needs to get done. But he always still felt like a whole being there, and he wasn't just like putting on a director's hat. It felt like he was very present and very much with everyone. So you could also show up completely and explore.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of energy, and speaking to both of you, you both have high energy, lighthearted, smiling. When you work with dark material like this, as actors, do you two have the ability to turn it off and on? Or do you get stuck in sort of a deep place? Because I've heard stories from different actors that it can be hard to step out of that. What is that like for you? When you once you got off set, could you just go back to being yourself?
For me, I don't think I guess it depends on how you're exploring it. For me, I don't think I'm ever really stopping being myself, even though, yeah, I'm playing and we're doing we are inhabiting this different world and a different character with a name, costume, and everything. But I think for me, like the exploration has always been to just be as open and available to the moment as possible. So like if what's happening now is more darker, heavier, then be in that completely. But then, and I think also depending on what set you're in and like the people that are surrounding you, how easy it is for you to then like, okay, now I can be back in this world and kind of like breathe and let those things kind of float off. And so I know I can go do it again. Because if it was too heavy and like you couldn't have that space to relax, and like I don't know why anyone would keep doing it. I mean, people do it that way. I don't know why it happens.
So you're not going to step into method acting anytime soon.
I don't know. I mean, I think it depends on what the character, the script is like asking you to explore. But no, I don't think I'd ever like go so deep that I'd forget that I'm playing make believe.
Mm.
What about you,
I,
Ethan?
yeah, I feel like in my experience, I've been able to separate the two. Um, and I'm not gonna take credit for that. I think I've just been fortunate enough to have, you know, um, to have worked with people, and on this one I've been around people that were able to kind of keep me grounded, and, kind of bring me back into the real world after those difficult moments um were were done. I think, yeah, they at times they had kind of like, lasting effects after. There were a few days where like things were difficult after we were done, but
Mm.
we all had each other, and we also had a counselor on set. Kim, she was very lovely, and she
Mm.
was very present um even on days where it wasn't necessarily heavy. Like she was just always available to just talk to and, hang out. So yeah, I think there are a lot of like there's a lot of opportunity and space to separate the two, which I am thankful for.
And you work with Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor. She's great as grandma. What do you pull? What do you absorb from an actor of that stature and nature when you're on set? Like what is it like to be in her presence and watch her and her craft?
And I'm a master at work, truly. When you're in a scene with her, um, you know, you can feel how she elevates the performance of the other actors, around her. She is someone that when you're in a scene with her, you have no choice to be present, because she's fully there and she's fully connected. And so you can't help but be kind of, pulled into um the world and pulled into what she's giving. And I know that um I've experienced I was able to experience that uh on a previous project and on this one. And I know that, yeah, Brandon also had a very similar, I guess
Oh
more
yeah.
visceral experience with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's power. I was gonna say powerful, but my mouth stopped and then it worked.
Power,
Yeah,
yeah.
power.
Yeah,
I
I
like the
like
power though. And it's interesting because I didn't feel like I met Ingenue when we were making the movie because she was very, I don't want to make the mistake of talking too much about someone else's process. Also, I just couldn't because I have no idea what it is. We haven't really spoken much about it. Um, but yeah, and she was also asked to do, I think, in terms of like some of the heavier stuff, like, but yeah, I mean, just getting to watch her and just everyone, like, it's great. You're like, oh wow, everyone's doing it so different, and everyone's doing it so exploring so beautifully, and you just get to see everyone just kind of one like you're like, oh yeah, there's no right way to do this, and also it's just like it's just cool to watch everyone kind of show up and explore this thing, and then you get to see it come together, and it's just so. Also, what's interesting, you get to see everyone explore it so differently, but then as it comes together in this world, like it kind of takes this like the flavor of the world and it all becomes this cohesive piece, which is cool.
Well,
Yeah.
since this film came out, I mean, it's created so much buzz, and it has critics talking, audiences talking. There's awards buzz. What's the craziest thing that's happened to you on this sort of campaign now that you're on discussing the movie? Have you met anyone you thought you'd never meet before? Like, what's the most fun thing about this whole process with this new spotlight on you?
Well, everyone we've met, I never thought I'd meet them before. um, hmm, really good pasta in Rome.
Good pasta,
Yeah,
man.
pasta was fire. We had
So
some good.
the travel has been good.
Travel's
The
been
pasta was amazing. The
He's talking
pasta,
specifically
the
about the
pasta in
pasta.
Rome was amazing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, we met so many beautiful people that like, yeah, I mean, that part's been amazing. Just getting to meet people and yeah, that having a different experience of like being at festivals with these people and like meeting creatives and that being the thing that inspires you to want to see their films. Because like before, it's like commercials or like hearing about stuff that makes you want to see it, but now it's like actually getting to meet the people who put all of their energy into this thing, and you're like, ah, I do want to see this thing that you made. So that's been kind of cool and different that I
Yeah.
haven't felt before.
Yeah. The
We met a
to,
dog in Telluride. Sorry to
oh
interrupt you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Bing
Bing, we met a big Great Dane who's in a movie with Bill Murray with the dog.
wasn't
We met
expect
Bill Murray
wasn't
too.
expecting to meet Bill Murray. Yeah, that one. That's one. That's one for sure. Um, yeah, yeah. To echo what Brandon was
The
saying
pasta.
about the pasta, but on a bigger scale, yeah, the travel's been pretty amazing. We've been to, some beautiful places for festivals. And then deeper than that, echoing Brandon even further, is, yeah, meeting these other creatives and these other filmmakers, and running into each other again at different like, festivals and events. That's been particularly lovely. I know that we've been, kind of had like similar paths to the piano lesson
Oh yeah.
with like, with Malcolm Washington, JD
Squad.
Washington, yeah, Danielle, like we saw each other in London, and it was like it was like, oh, what's up? Like it was like it was such a nice, I don't want to say reunion because that implies that we hadn't seen each other in a long time,
It
but
felt like a minute.
it was really lovely just to be and kind of inhabit the same space together and know that we're all going on this kind of this ride together.
Well, it's a beautiful film, and Ethan and Brandon, you're both terrific in it. And congratulations on Nickel Boys, and thanks for chatting with Gold Derby today.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
So
Appreciate you.
therapy.